Hey everybody, Carrie and I are here in the kitchen today and we are going to make some chocolate chip cookies and wanted to share the recipe and sort of the technique and some of the ingredients that we use with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start, I think, with the dry ingredients. So the first thing we're going to use, and these by the way are vegan. They're not going to have any eggs or any dairy in them. They're super healthy. We're going to start by using some oats. So you want to get old-fashioned oats, right?
Right.
They're less processed. So make sure that you get old-fashioned oats. We're going to use half a cup. I don't think I have it. Yeah, here we go. Here's the half a cup. So half a cup of some rolled oats are going to go in.
We do buy gluten-free when we can.
Yes.
And those are gluten-free, but sometimes it's hard to find, so, you know.
And you know what can you tell them what the difference is in gluten-free oats? I mean, oats are naturally gluten-free, right?
Right.
It's just basically...
Sometimes that's where they process them.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not, sometimes, and that just kind of makes you see the difference. It's not a huge deal to get the ones that aren't, quote-unquote gluten-free because they don't have that much gluten in them, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, if you can't find them, then just get regular. But make sure they're old-fashioned oats, not the quick cooking, because they kind of break down and fall apart.
Right.
So I have the half cup of rolled oats. Next is this oat flour. And this is basically just, you throw some old-fashioned oats into your food processor or your blender, blend it up, and you've got oat flour. So super easy. So
and I use that a lot. So I actually just kind of, you see I've had some in a container that we're using today. So it's kind of good to keep that on hand, and you can just blend up more than you need for that recipe and just keep some.
Yes, perfect. And then for the almond flour is the next ingredient that we're using. So this is just basically ground up almonds.
They're blanched too.
Yes.
There is a difference between almond meal and almond flour. So almond meal is more coarse, and it's not going to give you that light and fluffy. If you were to now these cookies won't be necessarily light and fluffy, but you were to bake like a loaf of something, it'll make it more dense. So
Gotcha.
That's why, that almond flour and almond meal, there's a difference.
There's a little bit of difference. Yes, true. Okay, so I have that in, and then the next is either you can use arrowroot, you can use cornstarch, or this is actually tapioca powder. You can use any of those. 1/4 of a cup is what you want. This is going to be like your binder, really like your egg would be. It's going to kind of make everything hold together. So that goes in, and then will you get me 1/2 teaspoon of salt?
Sure.
And then I think the only other dry ingredient, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda is the only other thing that we need. And that's all of our dry ingredients. So we have rolled oats, oat flour, blanched almond flour, arrowroot, cornstarch, or tapioca, and then your salt and baking soda. And then what kind of wet ingredients are we going to use? I'm going to whisk these up.
Okay, so just to make it easy, I like to kind of put all my wet ingredients in a measuring cup because that just kind of saves you a bowl and just makes washing up that much easier. So for this recipe, we're going to use 1/2 cup of almond butter. And, we are kind of modifying, but still following the Oh She Glows recipe for some chocolate chip cookies. And she really is very specific about what almond butter to use. So there's lots of different kinds, and most of them, you have to stir and incorporate, and maybe that might be crunchy or whatnot. This particular brand, it's called Barney's butter, or Barney butter. It is like smooth, like you would think of like Jif peanut butter. So she really makes it specific not to try to substitute something. I think they'll still taste good, but they might not have the right consistency. So that's what I use. I just wanted to point that out. And using this, and even really as opposed to peanut butter in a recipe, this has way more healthy fats to it, and it also has some protein. So that's a good reason to kind of include that in your recipes. So there's 1/2 cup of that. There's 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. And we all know the benefits of coconut oil. They're kind of endless, but it's a healthy fat that you should include in your diet daily. Not that you should eat these cookies daily, but if you wanted to, you would at least have some healthy fats. And then there was 1/4 cup of sweetener. Now, she called for maple syrup. I had this coconut nectar that I wanted to use. And, really just you want to use kind of less processed sugars because it's just going to maintain more of the nutrients and vitamins and minerals that's already found in that substance that they're getting it from. So,
And you're not going to have like the blood sugar spikes.
Yes.
Like if you use the white refined sugar, you know how like you see this in kids a lot. they eat something sugary and they have all this energy, but then they like totally crash. It's because their blood sugar just drops and crashes. So, you're not going to have that. You can feel good about sending these in the kids' lunch, having them as a healthy snack, after school. Not too many of them.
And they get so excited when you send something like that. They're like, oh my God, Mom, I love that cookie you sent. It just makes you feel good. You want to give them treats too, just like you have treats. So this is a healthier treat. So, let's see, was that all that was in here?
Yes. So
Okay.
the almond butter, the coconut oil, we used coconut nectar
Right.
for the sweetener, and then the only other wet ingredient is the vanilla.
And I actually purchased some vanilla bean paste, and she uses it a lot in her ingredients, and I've seen it a lot, in different other recipes, so I wanted to get some to try. And it's really just vanilla beans that are scraped out with the seeds that are put in here, and then they kind of have a base that they're in. So you can just substitute it 1-for-1 with vanilla extract, and it just really gives it a little bit more of a vanilla taste. It just and it makes the ingredients taste better that you're mixing it with. So it's always a good idea to add some type of vanilla to baking recipes. So that looks like
It's
all
vanilla.
of
Delicious. We'll just pour that
Yeah.
right in, so that you can see not a lot of cleanup here. Really, I mean, we got 2 dishes and then
right.
one that we chopped some chocolate on, but
And I totally forgot to mention, I put the the almond butter, and the coconut oil in the microwave for about 20 or 30 seconds, just to kind of loosen them up a little bit and make them. It makes it way easier to incorporate into the recipe with the dry ingredients as well.
yeah.
So I'm going to continue to chop from this chocolate. Obviously, these are chocolate chip cookies, so we're going to need some good chocolate.
a lot of
to put
chocolate
in them.
I mean, what's a chocolate chip cookie without a lot of chocolate, right?
So this recipe calls for a bar of chocolate that's chopped. And the reason really is that it kind of just gives you a little bit more texture. And I like, bigger chocolate chunks in there. It kind of makes it a little more melty. When you bite in, it just kind of,
Yeah,
it just makes it a
gooey
little,
and
yes.
yummy.
So I think she called for 1.5 bars, but we wanted to measure it so it would be easier in cups.
Mhm.
So I've chopped half the cup.
And I think probably,
Let's see, a
Yeah.
fourth of a cup.
okay. We were thinking probably 3/4 of a cup would be good for this, and looking at it, and I'll try to show you guys, I think that's plenty.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So it would be 3/4 cup of chopped dark chocolate, and the kind that I'd get from Trader Joe's, and it's in this large. This is called baking chocolate. I think it's about 70%
yes.
dark chocolate or
Yes.
cacao powder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cacao powder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that kind of if you can find those bars that are bigger, and this is the rest of it. So I just kind of store it in a bag and can use it in different recipes. So.
And then another little tip that's kind of makes it really easy, and especially if you have kids helping you with this, it's nice to, to keep it portioned so all the cookies will bake evenly. Then, use something like an ice cream scoop, like
Right.
a small ice cream scoop. The other thing is, you can see here we have a cookie sheet that is lined with parchment paper. I mean, super easy cleanup. All you have to do is roll it up, throw it away. I mean, really, if you don't get any on the dish, you don't even have to, on the sheet, you don't even have to wash it. So basically, just take your scoop and just portion that out. Now, these, so that they spread, we're going to kind of just pat them down. And I think, too, another thing that would be really yummy to add is a little sprinkle of sea salt to the top.
Yeah, that would be good. I forget about that.
So I do that. I know you do that too.
Yeah.
A lot to our recipes. So sprinkle a little bit of sea salt if you like that. Just kind of that sweet, salty flavor to the top of these. And then we're going to bake them at 350. We already have the oven on. We're going to bake them at 350 for probably about 10 to 12 minutes. We'll watch them, and basically, when you like the way that they look, as far as I kind of like them a little bit softer and
Everybody's
a little more
oven
gooey
cooks differently.
Yes,
too.
definitely.
So you want to watch them and not just set the timer and walk away. I always set the timer about 2 to 3 minutes on cookies, especially like before they say to take them out. That way you can look at them and you're not like, oh my gosh, they're already like too brown, and you can't take it back, take the time back. So
Yeah, because that can happen really quickly. And another tip too with your oven, if you can get one of those thermometers that you just stick in the oven that will tell you if you're most of the time, most people's oven is not, if it's set on 350, is probably not exactly 350. Even like the best ovens out there, I mean, they're not
Right.
a lot of times exact, but you can kind of get a better idea of how far off yours is. So that's another tip that you could try, especially if you're having problems with things not coming out, you know, if you're baking them to the temperature that the recipe calls for.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, so we are gonna put these in the oven and we're gonna enjoy them with maybe a cup of coffee
Yeah,
or something
sure.
in a little bit. So hope you join us next time.
See ya.